So good afternoon. I'm Christopher Momanyi from Strathmore University. I've been conducting a research of various set of papers on the ICT and the informal sector. The word chokali means people working under the hot sun. So you have this phenomenon, people who are in the informal sector, you find them in towns. They're not formally registered by the ICT authorities, but they have businesses on the side where they sell their wares. So that's why the word comes. This is a Swahili word, working under the hot sun. If you come to Kenya and somebody says that I'm in Chwakali, it has a meaning that I'm self-employed. I'm not working in the informal sector, I'm self-employed. So that's the meaning of the word. And also it means working in the informal sector. So the use of communication to foster development can be traced back to 1960s. According to Hicks, this is a time that people started realizing that information technology has a direct impact on development. If we go back in history, we had an industrial revolution in England. The production of goods and services in a quicker way through industrialization. Then from that time up to now in the fifth phase, which is ICT. We can't talk about a development if there's no ICT. So ICT and development go together. Then also, the United Nations identified 8 Millennium Development Goals. One of these goals is ICT. And there are several documents by the World Bank which are quantitative, showing which countries are leading and which countries are lagging behind. And then from there, what needs to be done? What can the governments do? What can training institutions do? What can individuals do? In a World Summit held in 2003 in Switzerland, the role of ICT in development was discussed. So in this conference, the steps that have been taken to use ICT to support development were looked at. And then proposals were made. What needs to be done in various regions to see that ICT is the driver of the economies. And also in the education, what needs to be done so that the graduates being turned out from training institutions have ICT skills and therefore can link ICT and development. For instance, if somebody has certain skills, how can he use ICT to better himself? Or let's say that somebody is here in Turkey and he has certain ICT skills. How can he share his knowledge with somebody in another part of the world? So if the graduate of producing don't have this, then this would impair development. Therefore, there's need to integrate ICT with development strategies. Any strategy has to be ICT driven. The economists have come on board. They postulate that the rates of adoption of modern technologies may accelerate the development process. There's research showing that the countries that have integrated ICT with their development proposals and strategies are ahead of others that are lagging behind. And therefore, there is need to integrate ICT with development. In 1990, there was a conference, during the conference in the Chomfen Conference on Education, the idea of education for all was discussed. How all people, all children, even adults who lack education have to get education. And then in the success years up to now, the data we have is about those who have gone through the formal education system. You go to any country, they will tell you that since 1990, we had this percentage. And after implementing the strategies of the Chomten Conference, now maybe we are at 97%. But then we have people who won't fit the formal education system. Like the one I've said about Chwakali. People who are in the informal sector doing their wares there, doing their trades, earning a living. What about these people? So in Kenya, you call them chuakali. These people have skills, and yet they need to be trained. For instance, they need to be trained ICT. The people in the informal sector need ICT so that what they are doing, the skills they have, to become better in those skills. Still, large gaps in skill training exist in the informal sector, which in Kenya we commonly refer to as chuakali sector. But then, if we embed skills, ICT skills, with an idea of knowledge transfer, that I train this person in this ICT skill, it will have an impact on another skill that he has. For instance, let's say you have somebody like a carpenter, or let's say a welder. Once you train in ICT and integrate with what he's doing, he's going to be better. For instance, in marketing. Let's say this person has his wares, he takes photos of them and put them on the internet. So customers are going to see that this person produces this kind of goods, and therefore let me contact him. Can also be transferred to keeping business records, which if a person, an artisan go to the bank and is able to prove that this is the kind of trade I do, and these are my records. I need to borrow this amount of money to expand my business. So the bank will take the records and scrutinize them to ascertain the credit worthiness of this person, so that he gets what he can utilize and pay back. And then training highly skilled manpower for economic development as a challenge. And this challenge has not been addressed by the formal education system. Some of the reasons is since 1960s, in the international sphere, this idea has been there to train, to integrate vocational education with formal education. To a large extent, this has failed because people go to school with this idea that I get a certificate. After getting the certificate, I go to work somewhere and earn some income, or I get a salary. But then you don't have people who think that I've gotten this vocational skill. And when I finish school, even if I advance to university, still I can be doing things on the side. I have certain skills which can earn me income. So therefore, we can say that the vocational training has failed, because one of them is that it emphasizes on people have this idea of certificates and not skills as such. Rather than emphasis on practical skills, certificates have become the norm. So wherever you go, like now in Kenya, to prove that you have certain skills, you have to produce a certificate. So children go to school knowing that I'll clear my basic education. I go to college and I get a certificate. Irrespective of whether I have certain skills, the certificate is everything. I can present it and I'm evaluated based on it. What is written on it? Then it has led to a trend whereby those who don't proceed in the formal education system end up in the informal sector. And they don't go to a vocational training institution. Research has shown that 76% gain their skills through apprenticeship, where somebody goes to the informal sector under somebody and he starts being trained until he reaches a level that now he can go and start his business somewhere. And this means that the vocational training idea is not working. Not all vocational training institutions, in Kenya we have about 8,000 of them, train ICT. Some of the reasons is because of the costs. Like now, if you have to put up a computer lab, a decent one, you need a lot of money to set it up. So the other skills are trained, but ICT is lagging behind. Therefore, we talk of knowledge transfer. We cannot achieve development without knowledge transfer. We train people in certain skills so they can transfer them in other areas. And this entails training skills that can be transferred. One of these is ICT. ICT in isolation can do nothing, but in combination with another skill can do a lot. Then we emphasize on ICT knowledge transfer. And this cannot take place only in the formal education system. It has also to be integrated in the non-formal education, a situation whereby people gain skills outside the formal education system. And therefore, in these situations, we have to emphasize on ICT skills. Then from this viewpoint of participants in the informal sector, especially in Kenya, there are many different views concerning knowledge transfer and its associated outcomes. We have these classes of theories. The first one is based on the notion that the conditions for transfer have to be established before the original learning event can transfer common seamless properties. Like now, let's say you want to train a certain kind of people in the informal sector, certain skills. So the person mounting the training has to have in mind that I'm training these people, this skill, so they can embark on another skill that they have. Like now you go to a group of fishermen and you want to train them on ICT skills. You have to know beforehand what kind of challenges they're facing and what kind of thing they're doing, so that ICT can be linked to those challenges and that these people solve them. The second theory is that takes a position that facilitative transfer is a product of successful memory research process. In the process of training people, you have to remind them about what the skill they have. Like now you're training adult people, it's not the same as training young people. So the trainees themselves have to remember the skills they have before, so that then they can relate to what you want to train them. With the absence of this, then there would be a problem in these ICT skills if they're embedded to people just for the sake of it. And therefore, the ICT sector, the first theory is applicable to the transfer of knowledge. Consider that the original learning event and transfer event share a common goal. Somebody has certain skills, you train in ICT, these come together. They are not going to run in isolation, because the person being trained will identify another area to link his ICT skills with. Research on the transferability and the effect of acquired ICT knowledge, based on research, has shown the following. The motivation between transfer event and learning event have a common aim. What motivates somebody learning a certain ICT skill, and also what they already know, have something in common. You'll find that somebody will have this desire to be trained so that he can do certain things that he was not able to do before. Then the integration of ICT knowledge skills in the informal sector can realize the objective of improved business performance. We have, like now, from research, 70% of the jobs being created in East Africa are from the informal sector. Large sector of the population have realized that formal education itself will not earn you a decent job after graduating. So you need to have other skills. You find that people who have gone through, let's say, even university, they have certain skills. They want to do something in the informal sector, a certain business. And those who don't proceed, they just enter the informal sector knowing that I've improved myself. So, therefore, when this artisan or these people get ICT skills, they have this idea that I want to improve my business. I want to further my business. We also have learning theories in the non-formal education. How do people learn? For instance, if you're training nursery school kids, the way they learn is not the same as when you train an adult person. Or when you're training primary school girls and boys, it's not the same when you're training people in a workplace. It's different. One of these theory is constructivism, that a learner actually constructs a new set of ideas, of concepts based on the past and current knowledge. If, let's say, like you're training local artisans, When you train them ICT skills, for instance, they have a past. They link that past with the current training. And therefore, it's like they add this knowledge to what they already have. If they have certain skills and you train them another skill, they link the two skills. The other theory is experiential learning. This is the extreme model of adult learning process. When you're training people, adult people, it's not the same as you're training young people. So they need to, that experience helps them to learn better. If the experience, like now you get people in the informal sector and you tell them now, you come every day from 8 to 5, come with this, and we go for the training. It will not work. You find that people are family men and also they are doing business. So you have to see that these people are likely to come in the afternoon. So mount your classes in the afternoon. So that when they finish their business, they come and they're trained. Or mount your classes during weekends. Or have a negotiation with them and see what's the most appropriate time for them to come. If that experience is not discussed initially or foreseen, then the learning would not take place. We also have the theory of street learning, which underscores the fact that learning does not take place in a classroom alone. For instance, after the Chombe International Conference, there were, like now in Kenya, the government introduced free primary education and now free secondary education. And yet, it needs to achieve 100%, meaning that there are people whose situations won't allow them to go to class. They have to be trained where they are. We have an ICT policy being developed, and this ICT policy is targeting formal learning institutions. Then the question that comes up, what about the people in the formal sector? This policy has to also have to come with an approach that these people also have to be trained. If you're setting up computer labs in let's say 17,000 primary schools, they have to have a target of training the people who are in the informal sector near that school. Without that, then that learning process is impaired when you link it to development. So learning does not take place only in the classroom. It can also take outside the classroom, what we call non-formal education, and also informal education. In Kenya, Strathmore University started by a trust called Strathmore Educational Trust. There's a university, Strathmore University, and also there's a high school, Strathmore High School. Then, even there's a primary school. So there's at a level that now the trustees were asking questions, what can we do with the people in the formal sector? Then an idea came up that these people have to be trained. And what are they going to be trained? They have to be trained in ICT and business skills. Because they're in the informal sector, they are carrying their business there. They need ICT and business skills so they can integrate them to improve their businesses and their livelihood. So research from this approach has shown that training helps people, especially ICT and business, once they integrate them in their businesses. And then a follow-up has to be made to see that these people understand how to integrate those ideas in their business. For instance, there's a business center. The challenges they face, they come and they help to implement those skills. Since the start of this informal sector business institute, 10,000 people have gone through the training programs. Data for this research was collected from those who have gone through the training and those who have not gone through the training and it come from the same environment. Then two hypotheses were developed. One, that there is no significant difference in practice of ICT and business skills between arts science who have undergone training and those who have not gone the same training. The second hypothesis is that there is a significant difference in practice of ICT and business skills in business between arts science who have been trained and those who have not been trained. Then what are the effects of this knowledge transfer from ICT to business? The small and medium enterprises are an important part of the economy of the East African countries. The large chunk of the population is in the informal sector, not the formal sector. And then low levels of literacy and education can impede economic development of a country in this rapidly changing technology-driven world. Evidence from the ICT knowledge transfer has shown that businesses in the Kenyan perspective can also be traced to the mobile phone sector. For instance, since the introduction of mobile phones in Kenya in the year 2001, the population of Kenya is expected to be 44 million now. Out of the 44 million, 30 million have mobile phones. And recently, one of the mobile phone operators for the last 5 years has been getting the certificate of the best taxpayer, because they're the ones who pay the highest tax to the government, to the exchequer. And then also, from the year 2004 up to 2007, the economy of Kenya was running at a percent of 7%. And then the question was, why? When the research was done, it was said that the economy grew because of the mobile phone sector. We have what we call M-Pesa, where you can pay using your phone. You don't need to go to the bank. Before, people didn't have bank accounts because the conditions were not conducive, because you had to have a minimum balance before you can open an account. But when this mobile phone innovation came up, people realized you can actually have money in your phone. If, let's say, I have 10,000 shillings, I can send fees to the bank, I can do my payments, I can order for goods and they are brought to my premises. And this increased the rate at which transactions are taking place. And this had a net effect that the economy grew faster than before. Then also, after this was legalized, the banks have also taken it up. They've realized they can actually reach their customers faster than when they come to the bank. If you have an account, there's a way you can transfer money from your account to another account, or you can pay without going to the bank. So then what are the benefits of knowledge transfer in the informal sector, the chokali sector as we call it in Kenya? So the effects of ICT transfer, knowledge transfer in the chokali sector have revealed positive results. A study was done whereby 120 artisans, 60 who have undergone the training at the Informal Sector Business Institute, and 60 from the same area who are not undergone the same training. So a comparison was done between the two, who are better than the other in using ICT and business skills in their businesses. So the statistics are here, whereby there's a higher number of those who have undergone the training on ICT and business, utilizing these skills in their businesses than those who have not undergone the same training. At the same time, after the training, which group has a higher impact when you assess how they use these ICT skills? Still, those who have undergone the training were far much better. When you set statistic at 1% level of significance, you realize that the tabulated Z statistic is at 2.58 is lower than the calculated one. And therefore, the two hypotheses, the null hypothesis, is rejected in favor of the hypothesis that the people who have been trained ICT and business skills are far much better than those who are not trained. For instance, a conclusion is reached that the percentage of the artisans who have undergone training at this Informal Sector Business Institute use ICT skills in marketing. For instance, in marketing is significantly higher than those artisans who have not undergone through the ECB training. For instance, they learned that the ICT skills were taught they can actually learn others related to their business. For instance, marketing. If I want to get many clients to buy my products, some are using the SMS method, whereby when you call somebody or you text somebody, it leaves your business card on the phone, and somebody gets tempted to check what does this person produce. And then people end up calling you and asking about your products. Or when somebody calls the artisan, then it sends a message about his products. So they learn other skills that were not taught initially. And this is another area of knowledge transfer. You have trained the basic skills and you learn others on your own. If you have to come up with the skills that people need to be trained, we can come up with thousands of them. But then with knowledge transfer in ICT, we need to identify the core skills that need to be imparted to the people. And then from there, the others will build on these core skills. We don't need to train them in everything. They can transfer this knowledge to others. For instance, you train somebody to use the internet. You don't need to train them every skill on how to use internet. You train them the basic skills, and they learn the others on their own. So when research was done after the training, it was realized that 76% of those that wanted training were using ICT in the business records. They were interpreting the records using ICT. Some had even bought computers. Some were coming to the business center to be helped. Then also it was like that marketing, to better in marketing, especially using SMS. Then some went further, started learning how to use the internet better. For instance, to market use the internet, those who said curious, they produce their curious, take photos, and then they have a web page. They put them there. So the customers from other countries would make requests. So you tell them, this product is costing this much, to package it and send it to you this much. So send this money to my account. So when they receive the money, they package the product nicely and then send it. The money is sent to their accounts. Others learned business outsourcing. They could go to the internet. They have a certain skill and realize that somebody from another country wants maybe a designer or wants somebody who can do basic programming. So they will send a CV. And then work is sent to them, they do it and send back. Once the owner of the job is satisfied, then we say it's okay. Then send the money. So this scenario underscores the fact that training in certain skills has to have the knowledge transfer factor. If it doesn't have this factor, and then the skills themselves would not have an impact on the economy or the lives of the people being trained. So then from here we make a conclusion. To attain education for all, whereby everybody deserves education, either in skills or the basic skills in learning, we have to identify the skill transfer in the informal sector and also the formal sector. In the informal sector, the impact is higher because these people already have certain skills. Then also, a lot has been achieved, but development cannot take place fully if there's no skill training. And then to do this, we have to identify the people who are disadvantaged. People say in the informal sectors. Like now, when you come to Africa, if you come to Nairobi, we have people living in slums. You'll find that these people have certain skills, but they need to be trained further to be better than what they are. For instance, one of the carpenters was trained. He learned that he does not need to go to his workshop every day. The only thing that he needs to do is to get carpenters who are so good, who can do the work that was given to the standards that are required. So he started going out looking for clients. He will come, get other carpenters, tell them what they need to do. So they do it, he goes and looks for another job. So he realized that his turnover increased 5,000 times than before. He realized he had so many offers, there are many people looking for his products, that he had to hire more people to do the work. Then it became a challenge for him. Where do I get a good carpenter? Where do I get somebody who can fix this well? So the challenge that before you overcame it, you came up with another challenge. So this is also replicated in many other people who had gone through the training. Then the net effect of transferability of skills is felt once certain core skills are mounted as a basis for developing other skills. So governments need to, the Kenyan government need to identify the core skills. For example, these people in the informal sector, they do this, but these are the core skills that they need to be trained. And those also in the formal education, core skills have to be identified so that they have those core skills. For any further training, they will form as a basis of knowledge transfer. Then also, IC skills are core skills in this digital era. We cannot talk about a development without ICT. If somebody does not know how to use, for instance, internet, mobile phone, you can operate. For instance, in Kenya, everybody who has a mobile phone has either a money transfer system using the mobile phone, because it has become synonymous with business. Paying school fees, you have to know how to pay school fees. Transfer money in your two accounts, you have to know how to do it. To make payments, you have to know how to do it. To pay your bills. Like now to go to a supermarket, you can go there, they have a bill number. The teller tells you, you need to pay this much. You just pay without carrying cash. So the mobile phone has become like a credit card. Wherever you are, so long as within the network, you can transact. You can make payments. So if these skills are not known by people, then they can't learn the other skills based on this basic skill. Thank you. We said thank you in Swahili, asante sana. So thank you. Any question? Yeah.
You talked about learning new knowledge through training.
Yeah.
Let's talk about one example. For example, some farmers want to know about the skills of ICT.
Yeah.
So do you think it would be an efficient way to training them or give them access to the technology?
I will use an example that two students in Stratham University have done. They came up with two applications. One is called MCalc. If you Google, you can see it. And then the other one is called MFARM. The MFARM, there was a competition of students to come up with an application, and then there were a group of people analyzing which one is the best. The idea was that if I want to sell my products, I'm a farmer, I'm based in the rural Kenya. Let's say I don't know what's happening in Nairobi, for instance, the capital city, or the other cities in Kenya. How will I know the cheapest products for my farm? If, for instance, I want to buy fertilizer, or if I want to sell my products, how can I do the comparison between the other markets and I know which one is the best? So they came up with an application whereby the farmers themselves can come together and then on a large scale, sell their products to even to the international market, cutting away the middlemen. So the middlemen come, and then you have to operate at their own charges. They'll tell you, this product, we are buying it at this cost. If you don't want, so you find that if you have tomatoes, for instance, you don't sell them by a certain time, they go bad. Or if you have milk. So this application now, farmers can communicate among themselves to know what's in the market. They know the best price and also the best market to sell their products. So this helps them. So, for instance, you want to go and train those farmers. You have to do an analysis beforehand. Like these farmers are producing tomatoes, or these farmers are producing milk. So already there's something they're doing they know. You're not going to start from scratch. But then you tell them now, we can train you. For instance, this application, or for instance, this M-Pesa, this innovation by Safaricom, to use it to access your market, or to use it to pay your suppliers. Rather than you going to the bank, you can pay from where you are. Or to market your product, you can market this way. You can use ICT to market this way, you see. But then you have to identify this, what's the unique situation of these people. For instance, if they're farmers in rural Kenya, maybe in the morning they're busy in their farms. But you tell them there at 2, for instance, come to this center, we'll train you. Then after the training, get some people who will mentor them how to use this ICT until now they can use it easily. Then also, you can set up what you call a business center in that place where they are nearby. And you have ICT facility that they cannot have in their homes. You can have a computer, you can have a printer, you can have a phone, and also you can have a way they can host their products online in case they're looking for customers. So once it's not a training that you train once and then you stop. You have to continue mentoring them. Until they reach a level, now they can easily use the ICT skills you imparted to them. And then from there you can charge. Can I train them further skills? If it is that the further skills are needed, then you print them again, then you train them further. I've answered your question?
Not exactly. Perhaps you didn't get my questions.
No, still you can still ask.
Well, I asked that if the farmer doesn't have the access of this technology, what should they do with the training?
The training?
Yeah.
Now you, the trainer, like now under the short-term education or trust model, let's say, for instance, you're the one training me a certain skill. After I've come to the training center that you established, I come and I've gained these skills. You have what you call a mentoring program, whereby a certain expert who's near there is in charge of the farmers, training them, seeing how they're implementing it until they're able to use it. Then, if you realize certain facilities, they don't have them, like now, let's say a computer, you can come up with a business center where they can come and then they can do certain things that with the computers that you have. They pay for it, a minimum charge, than in their own homes. For instance, someone doesn't have electricity. Well, the business center, you have electricity, and therefore you can run computers. Or maybe they want to write an email. They know how to use an email, but at home they don't have what? They don't have a facility, or they don't have electricity, they don't have a computer. So they can come to the business center, and then they write their emails sent to their suppliers. Have I answered the question?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher.
Yeah.
We have to stop now, because there is the break, and we will start after the break with the third session. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for respecting time, and thank you for enriching the debate or your questions.